I just kind of made stuff look a little better with the additional parts. Okay. Sorry, Tre'Von, I should have went around the other way.
No worries.
That's simply what you already have, just what paper.
Public hearing for 5:45 PM for exterior appearance of Main Street building. Ms. Sylvia Karash.
Yes, sir. All right, good evening, council members. My name is Sylvia Korash. I'm the owner and lead designer for Inspired Designs. I'm also here to represent Ebony Lagarza, who is currently the owner of the building. So our intention is, in our agenda, is to explain the intent of our exterior project. In front of you, you'll see a packet of what we intend on doing. We've spent many man hours and researching the period history of the building, and we still have a long way to go. But we've enlisted quite a few vendors, suppliers, etc. in our local area to assist in period correct, as well as coloring, architectural features, etc. So our intent on revitalizing the exterior portion of the building is replacing outdated windows and also exterior doors, resurfacing the concrete bump out, which is in the corner, front awnings, the back decks, as well as the roofs. In the packet, you'll see on sheet 2, and let me reverse for a minute. In sheet 1, we have a project summary as well, index, and also the location of the building. Sheet 2, we have a color coding that we use for Sherman-Williams. They do have a Victorian historic era that has a color palette of that area, so we use that as a guidance. We may divert just a smidge if the coloring doesn't kind of look right. So we want everything to look appealing to the eye, but still be complementary to the building. On sheet 3 is period correct doors. We plan to use a local company out of Covington. It's Woodwright. They specialize in period correct doors. They do a lot of work in the French Quarter. So they're very knowledgeable in that type. So this is what the stain on the first window would look like without the grid. It's going to just be a full panel window. And as well as the back doors, it'll be a full panel door, but the stain color would look like the first item. Lower on the sheet, we have Appella windows, which is what we plan to use for the remaining replacement of the windows. On sheet 4, at the top of the page, we have an example of what these awnings will ultimately look like. We also use someone local out of Baton Rouge. They're called Awning World of Louisiana, and they go all around the world, all around the U.S., doing these type of awnings historically and non-historically as well. So on the bottom part of the sheet, we'll have 3 awnings in black. You'll see exactly where they're located. If you turn to sheet 5, we plan on having 2 decks in the back. Measurements are provided, deck A and also deck B. These will be a lean-to type roof, as well as pillars, etc. And it'll also be raised. The top elevation of the deck is going to be right underneath the elevation of the bottom of the doorway. And then we'll have stairs, etc. Last but not least is our roof. We plan to have 3 types of roof system, one type of roof system in 3 different locations. Currently, on the top level of the roof, we've been challenged and we've hired a past company to redo the roof, which cost $50,000, only lasted 10 years with leaks. So I've brought in several different companies and they swear to their product, which is the same product that was used. They give me this song and dance about the product and their guarantee, but unfortunately, they only stand by the workmanship for a year. So, I was challenged to go ahead and bring in metal roofs, seamless metal roofs, but unfortunately, I know that's kind of not what y'all want to see. The only way you would actually see it is if you were behind the building by Miss Connie's place. But I could promise you it's going to be tastefully done. So it would be, in order to do that, to accomplish that, we would have to remove part of the parapet in the back end, frame up one of the roof pitches, and then actually provide that. That would be a guarantee of a 100-year roof, which this building would be passed from my mom to myself to my daughters. So this is something I don't want to revisit in the future, and I would really rather spend that money elsewhere, like the commercial properties in the lower unit. In addition to that, on the first level, we also, in the future, near future, would also like to cover that in the same type of roof system as well. And also with the covered decks, to use that same type of material so it'll blend really nicely. The same color palette that's used there will be used in the actual front of the building. So anything metal is going to be matched appropriately, like the beams and the columns and such like that, as well as the awnings. So it'll blend really nicely. And as far as that portion is concerned, that concludes these chapter 19. Do y'all have any questions?
Very beautiful done. This is amazing. I commend you for this.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I second everything that Councilman Hookman said a minute ago. This is precisely what we've been hoping we would get in Kenwood on the project that we've done with the Stark Preservation Group and other things that we've done. I applaud this. These people have spent a lot of time to make sure that it is historically accurate, that it is tastefully done, and we urge the council to approve this.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Comments?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Could we just reiterate what the buildings are going to be used for again?
Absolutely. So the intent is on the first level, we have 3 available units. The one in the corner, it will be rented out. My hope was at one point to open up a few businesses there, but my goal, my gem is actually the upstairs to open that as a hotel. So let's go back to the first floor. The first level in the corner is going to be rented out. Hopefully some of our local businesses can occupy that as anything that they would like. I'm crossing fingers for a cafe, coffee shop, salon for the ladies, plenty of windows. It's a really gorgeous spot. The one in the middle, my mom actually currently lives there. I would like to have that stay like that. It's a gorgeous spot that we've actually renovated. And when she retires, she's actually going to be a manager, so I would love to have a manager on site at all times. I'm moving to Folsom, so to have someone on site for any breakdowns or anything like that, to have a contractor come, a plumber, is invaluable. The open spot, which used to be at one point a church, we plan to also renovate that and then open it up to the public to rent it to whatever it was. Or whatever they would like it to be. Now, if it was up to me, I would do a venue there, I would do a coffee shop in the corner, but that's just me. But my prize is upstairs. It's absolutely gorgeous. The structural integrity of the building is phenomenal. I think I've been in every crawl space, attic, underneath. I've evaluated all the important structures of it. So at this point, it's cosmetic, and if you go upstairs, it just takes you back in time. So that's kind of my jewel. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
How many rooms are upstairs that would be for hotel guests?
For occupancy, I think, so we're kind of going back and forth with that. On one side of it, we have about 6, and then on the other side, we have similar. But at this time, we can't, there's 2 kitchens available, 2 bathrooms available. And I want to keep that the same. I don't want to put a bathroom in each one. So the way we're gonna roll it out is, it's gonna be the way it used to be. It's gonna be a shared bathroom, which I think is gonna be a bit of an experience, but you know, you're gonna have the closet tubs and all that good stuff. So, the kitchens that they have there now, of course, you know, there's nothing there. We at one point wanted to do a bed and breakfast, but if we have enough restaurants downstairs and up the street and that, I don't think it would be necessary. I think we can go ahead and delegate that to our community to be able to supply that. And possibly offer, if we do a hotel, we can offer them vouchers, you know, and such. So we can actually use the 2 kitchens as additional, either additional bathrooms or potentially extra rooms. And that's my thought. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Anthony, was the zoning a topic that we could talk about?
No, that was, I mean, you're more than welcome to talk about it.
Okay.
You and I will work on that, but you're more than welcome
Okay.
to speak on that if you'd
Sure,
like to.
absolutely. One thing is not in your topic, but I did have an area of concern with is, I did look at the zoning of this area and some of the action items that they had there. Right now, that particular building is just zoned blanket for commercial. With that being said, I wanted to use the top floors and also where her residence is use it as her residence to be single dwelling, with a home occupancy, as well as the top to be also a dwelling, but a community dwelling. So if we do a hotel, great. If we don't do a hotel, but we rent out the rooms on a weekly basis or something like that with a community restroom, that's also a possibility. So, and I did review the code, and you know, those are the options there. And then, my apologies, the 2 ends will also remain as commercial.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, but we'll come back at a later time, so we can, the zoning is gonna come up at a later time, is that correct?
Yes. Go ahead.
Actually, I had already spoken with Bruce after Sylvia and I, we've had extensive conversations about what she's doing over there, as well as George. She and George have talked extensively too.
Yeah.
So I contacted Bruce after we had that conversation, as I told you I did.
Sure.
To make sure that what I was telling you was
Sure.
correct, and I said that. So Bruce, when I contacted you about the commercial and residential on the Main Street properties,
Right.
that was the exception in the ordinance, and that is
For
okay.
commercial
Yes.
resident is exception, yeah.
Right,
Wonderful.
so there are no, you know, anything wrong, nothing's wrong with that, that can be
Great,
done.
excellent.
Yeah, that's already on the book.
Sure, okay.
And what ordinance are we talking about specifically?
In the zoning
Zoning.
ordinance, under commercial property.
On the commercial property?
Uh-huh.
So if we, in her case, if we switch that unit to a residential, it could be a single dwelling, no issues there?
It did not give any differentiation from one residential,
Okay,
to another.
understood.
So that's what Bruce and I
Okay, so the residential has just an umbrella.
own commercial,
Okay,
not on every other one.
How does that
Understood.
affect the historical preservation committee stuff?
I don't think, number one, this application before the board for the historic preservation ordinance would ever be adopted. So it would be grandfathered in anyway. But if she came to if I'm forecasting, I'm envisioning what it would look like, and obviously, I'm only one person, but if she came to the Historic Preservation Commission and applied for a certificate of appropriateness to do this, I am very confident that the commission would approve. If that answers your question, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. as
Sure,
well.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So my hope was just to get it, if there was an issue in the future, just to get it grandfathered in, so when we
Right.
move forward with our design and our intent, that they're
Right.
ready to pick up.
Right.
If nothing else, that ends our public hearing. It's now 6:01. The Town of Kentwood Council meeting for December the 1st, 2022 is now called to order. We'll have prayer by Councilman Diamond, pledged by Councilman Hookman. Please stand.
Let us bow our head for a word of prayer. God, our Father, we thank you, oh God, for another opportunity. Oh God, we realize that with nothing without you, we can't do nothing without you. Oh God, we thank you for allowing us to assemble here together once again for the betterment of the town of Kentwood. God, we pray that everything that we do, every step that we make, every decision that we make, we always remember to make it in your name. God, we know that if we keep you first, all other things shall be added. God, we thank you. We pray tonight that all things be done in decent and in order. And all God's children say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Hookfin,
Here.
Cooper,
Present.
Diamond,
Here.
Callahan, Winters. Item number 1, public is invited to have public input on agenda items, 2 minutes per agenda item. Must be recognized by chair before speaking. Item number 1, approved minutes of last month's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookman, second by Councilman Diamond to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Financial reports submitted to council members via email. Item number 3,
We are going to get Mr. David Kozan. We've been trying to secure grants to update our sewer and our water, those with that American Rescue Plan fund. So we're trying to see where we are in the process. I know it's been going on a long time, and they have put out 3 different times to try to get the bids, not bids, but so get the grants monies and make sure that it's been allocated properly. And I think maybe we have a good chance of getting one or the other. So we're gonna see if we can get Mr. Kozan on the phone to give us an update.
Mayor, quick question.
Yes.
I made a quick answer. What's the current expiration date on using those funds? I know it was one on there.
I believe that was 2024, Xavier. I'll have to look at that and make sure.
Okay, I
I know
got
we
you.
said it one time in
Just
the
trying-
meeting.
Yeah,
I think it was
just trying to see what that
2024.
work. Okay. So do we have a timeline for Mr. Kozan Mayor Base or what?
Well, the state has been going through this process again. I think this may be the 2nd or 3rd time that they've done it, so he'll be able to let us know,
Okay. So going into next year?
hopefully.
This is David.
Mr. Kozan, how are you?
I'm well, Mayor. How are you?
Doing fine. We're here at our council meeting, and we want to see about an update on our water and wastewater sector program.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I don't know what you're aware of at this point, but good news. Town of Kentwood scored high enough on the water sector program application for wastewater that the town of Kentwood will get a grant in the neighborhood of about $1.9 million. So the staff of various agencies made recommendations to the Water Sector Commission, who regulates the money and disperses it. And Kentwood fell within the recommended cutoff score. Kentwood scored a total of 75 points on the scale, and the cutoff for the award, we think, was 68. And I put that in quotation marks because if any of you watched the award meeting, you saw that some of the legislators on the Water Sector Commission were concerned that at the higher end of the scale, one series of projects in St. Tammany Parish got a very large amount of the available funding. So the commission didn't accept the recommendations at that point and wanted to do some additional study. It is not likely to affect Kentwood at this point, but until they issue the letters, we don't know what will happen. As such things go, it's pretty certain that Kentwood will get it, but can't say for sure because you guys understand how these things work. You've seen the state government work before. I think though that at the end of the day, Kentwood's going to get an award for the sewer program. The water didn't fare quite as well, and that's because Kentwood had recently put a fair amount of money into rehabilitating its water system not too long ago. As most of you are aware, you have three primary difficulties with your wastewater system right now. You have the levee that goes around the lagoon that has some points where it is eroded and needs repair. You have difficulty with part of the gravity system, the main gravity system that goes to the middle of town that allows water to get into the system and leak out of the system that needs repair. And you've got a number of sewer pump stations that need rehabilitation. And wastewater infrastructure, wastewater infrastructure is difficult to maintain. It lives a hard life, and it just requires continuous maintenance and recapitalization. So that's not abnormal to have to put money into the wastewater system. A lot of people are in a similar boat. We don't know when the Water Sector Commission is going to issue the final award. They have not yet scheduled the meeting at which they said they would make this consideration and decision. But as soon as they do schedule that, I'll let you know when that's scheduled and when we can anticipate an award. I would guess it's going to be the end of this month, or the first part of next when the award letters go out. And the award letter will contain conditions for the money, etc. That's the high level view. Can I answer any questions for you?
Once those award letters go out, what kind of time frame do you think we'll be under as far as being able to get someone in here to see how they can get this work done for us?
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't know yet because a number of people have asked that the timeline be longer than it was on the first round. Some of these came out with a need to get the projects under construction within 6 months, which is very difficult to do because of the permitting process that's involved. So I think that may be under consideration by the committee for a little longer lead time, longer time frame. At the shortest, it would be 6 months to be able to get the plans out. At the longest, it would be, my guess, just kind of my tummy rub feeling, 9 months. And then there'll be a time limit after that for the contract. And I can't really speculate as to how long or the limit they'll put on that.
Yes.
David, you had
Yes.
previously spoken with me, and can you speak on what we need to start doing as the town of Kentwood to get ahead of the game on?
Yes, so,
okay.
Right. The town of Kentwood is going to use non-grant monies to do preparation and engineering and surveying and all the stuff that's got to be done beforehand. Because of that, you could, at this point, say, okay, let's get the survey started, let's get the electrical guys out there to start looking at the pump stations to see what needs to be done. We might even consider some preliminary work on investigating the sewer. And there are some pros and cons to that in terms of cost. But definitely the sewer and the survey and the geotechnical work could be done for the levee, for instance. That could be done and prepared and ready to go. So when the state issues the award, you could say, okay, boom, we want to get the plans complete and this done as quickly as possible, and that could be underway. If the electrical people come out and look, then we can already start looking at what kind of refurbishment has to be done to the control panels, and those kinds of electrical gear and control panel things are the things that are the hardest to get right now. So we could get a little bit of a jump on that. The sewer work is a little tougher, and we have to strategize a little bit how to get ahead of that, but certainly on the first two projects, we could get going through there.
Any board questions for
I have
Councilman?
one. I remember we talked about the town's obligation as far as the matching funds, right? So, does that correlate with this particular, grant that we're getting for the water safety program?
Mr. David, did you hear him?
I did. I think I couldn't hear completely, but he asked about
Matching.
the matching funds.
Correct.
Okay, let me open that file one moment. Okay, so the Kentwood, what we think the Kentwood grant award amount will be, according to the application, is $1,882,445. And that would require a match by the town of Kentwood of $960,048. Now, the way this system worked is, the state set it up so that you essentially were bidding for points in the competition. The more money you were willing to match, the more points they gave you. And the trick to it was you didn't know how much other people were willing to match and what kind of point score they were going to have. So Kentwood made that match to get themselves, the number doesn't really matter, but in this case, 12 points, which is a pretty big chunk of points. So Kentwood, for instance, made a score of 75, and as I mentioned, the cutoff was 68. So Kentwood made the cutoff, but it was fairly close. They needed to do everything on that application that was possible to get it across the line, and that matching funding helps do that.
Mr. David, Councilman Hookfin here. You said we need to get started doing some preliminary things here. Can you give me, you may or may not know the answer to this question, but can you give me a ballpark figure, throw some numbers out there, how much it would take to get started?
Well, okay, so that's a good question. Just kind of on my own steam, I've gone out and gotten some preliminary survey quotes. And we're going to do everything on this, excuse me, this project to conserve costs. And one of the things we're doing, we're going to use an innovative technique that we've recently used on another project that was very successful, and that is do a laser scan of the area that needs to be surveyed, instead of going out and doing it very laboriously with conventional survey. So what we'll do is we'll get a 3D map of the lagoon topography, and we'll know exactly where the repairs need to be. And that is not only more accurate, it's much less costly. So for instance, that survey will cost about $6,000. A conventional survey to do that would probably cost twice that. The geotechnical work we'll do out there in order to determine what exact repairs need to be made, I'm thinking is going to be in the neighborhood of $20,000. So that total is going to be $26,000 to $30,000 for the preliminary work on that. If we have excuse me, if we have an electrical engineer come out and do the reconnaissance on the pump stations and start that work, my guess is that that start is going to be in the $5,000 to $10,000 range to get started on those.
Thank you so much.
You will.
Got another question
I
for
have one
you.
more. So there is a
Yes, sir.
distinct difference between the water and the sewer, correct?
Correct.
So the sewer, we're not 100% sure on yet if we want to get the grant for the sewer.
The sewer is what, the wastewater is what it's talking about.
Gotcha.
We didn't get the water.
So we got the sewer, but not the water.
Right, we just don't have, we've not been issued the award letter saying that, but that's what was said.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Yes.
I have multiple questions. This is Sylvia Courage. What engineering firm has been selected for this project?
Mr. David?
That is us, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the criteria for award was to have an engineer on board to do the work.
Okay, would y'all
Owen and White.
Owen and White.
That's right.
Next question, will you be repairing the pumps or replacing them or also upgrading them?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're gonna have to assess each lift station, what the best value is on the lift station. So some of them, for instance, are failing repeatedly, and because, and in fact it likely is, because of sand getting into the system. And those pumps we would upgrade to a hardened type of impeller and withstand the sand that gets into the system. Now, at the same time, we're going to reduce that influx of sand by doing these repairs in the gravity system. Now bear in mind, sewer is a challenging thing to maintain and improve. So we will probably not, just because of the limited net, be able to solve every sewer problem Kentwood has, but we will certainly move the ball forward a long way towards having a great reduction in sewer overflow. The pump stations be much more reliable.
Understood. Next question, would y'all be increasing the volume of your area where it's being pumped into?
Increasing
I
the
didn't
volume
catch
of
that
the,
last quick.
she's asking if that will increase the volume out at our pond out there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, ma'am, that won't increase the volume of the pond. The pond actually works pretty well. The problem it has right now, and it's well run, by the way. The challenge it has is that over time, levees like that one that are just earth kind of degrade, and they need maintenance. And that maintenance has been deferred for quite a while, and it's to the point now where it's direly needed. Trucks can't traverse the levee safely, so that repair has got to be done quickly.
Okay, next question. Will a geotechnical grid be applied to this portion of the project?
That's a great question, and the answer is maybe. We're gonna, like I said, do some geotechnical investigation and find out what the most cost-effective way to do it is. The geotechnical grid is certainly an option, but we may find that in some places we need to decrease the slope with something like a vinyl sheet pile or something like that, and plant vegetation to reduce the erosion. It's a cost-benefit analysis we'll have to do on an area-by-area basis.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Those are very thoughtful.
Anyone else?
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. David.
We know what we need to do.
Thank you, we appreciate you informing us.
Thank you guys for having me. If anything else comes up, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll be working with you moving this forward.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Item number 4.
Item number 4, approve American Rescue Plan stipend for full-time and part-time current employees, eligible employees, full-time based on 1,500 or percentage thereof, part-time based on 500 or percentage thereof. This does not include elected officials, and there is a spreadsheet that I hope explains what the item is.
That's the one.
That's correct. The top cut off, I apologize for that from printing. You can look at mine. Tanisha, can I get another spreadsheet?
I do. That's okay. I do.
Give me 1 second, look over. If we have it, see.
Would you like for me to kind of talk about it a second?
Go ahead.
Then everybody gets to. First column, employees that were here either full-time or part-time from April 1 of 2020 through 12/31 of 2021, and those dates are at the top. You'll see out beside the name says full-time, part-time. We've got hire dates. The FT number of months is the number of months within those dates that this person was full-time. Some may have been part-time before they came on full-time. So if they were part-time in conjunction with full-time, you'll see the number of months in that column. If not, they were just part-time, and you'll see 0 in the full-time columns. The full-time amount, based on those calculations of the $1,500 divided by the number of months, is the full-time amount. And if they didn't work any part-time, there's a 0, and then you'll have a total column to the right-hand side.
Councilman Dunn?
She basically just answered my question. My question was going to be, I just wanted her to reiterate, the formula that was used to determine how we would be paying our employees. But I also want to thank and, commend Mayor's office for getting me this. This is one of the reasons, go on record to say why I didn't want to go forward with it the first time, because I just wanted to be sure that we had all our paperwork in place and it was just clearly documented on how much we were going to give and who was going to receive what. So, thank you.
Yes.
So, Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the stipend for our full-time and part-time employees.
Been moved by Councilman Diamond and seconded by Councilman Callahan to approve the one-time stipend for our employees with the American Rescue Plan funds. Any question? Yes, sir.
Just two quick questions. What's the total magnitude, and did we get all of that through the Care Rescue Plan money from the government?
We did get all of that, and the total is $32,619.13.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I failed to give the totals on.
Any more questions? Yes.
It's about the CARES Act money, not this is the past, but, how the board and the mayor decided what you would do with the other money that came in with the CARES Act?
To my recollection, I don't think we have had an in-depth discussion on what to do with the rest of the CARES Act. Anybody?
Well, no,
But this is different, what I'm saying. She's asking about the CARES Act. This is the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah.
Two different ones.
Right. I mean, one was, give me the amounts again so I can call. But both of them still fall under the, because I thought the discussion that we had, the reason why we did not want to begin to spend it is because we wanted to wait and see the needs for our water and sewer. Right, and so I thought that was the agreement, so that's why we.
She's asking about CARES Act, but this is not pertaining to, I'm sorry, this isn't pertaining to CARES Act, it's
Right.
the American Rescue Plan.
Right,
So they're two separate ones, and this comes out of the two portions of money that were received last year in August, and this year, I believe it's in August as well. So this $32,619.13 will come out of that money, because $0 have been spent of that. And the other portion of it will go towards the sewer,
Okay.
sector program that David Kozan just spoke about on the phone.
So-
And nothing, we didn't want to do anything according to, what was discussed, the council, until we knew if we were gonna have to spend this money on the sewer program.
So this is replacing the first, when it first came to the table, the 3,000.
Right.
Yes.
Correct.
Right, that's correct.
Correct.
What was the total that we got between the two, in 2 years?
A little over 900 and something thousand. It was broken up into 2 installments. I think we got 4 something last year and 4 something.
Very close to $1 million, let's put it that way.
So, Clerk, so can you, so are we saying we have 2 different, sets of money?
No, we don't have 2 different sets of money. She said CARES Act, but we had talked about that in a previous council meeting. You had asked specifically about that. Did we get any CARES Act money?
Right.
And we didn't.
Gotcha.
That was for any COVID-related hand cleaners, sanitizer, Lysols, things like that. And the majority of what we received was from the parish and other places, so we
Gotcha.
didn't have to.
So currently, what we're currently working with is ARPS, right?
That's correct.
Gotcha, and we're currently just waiting to see what we're gonna have to do as far as, with the matching for the grant and the preliminary things that we have to do to prepare, for the,
That's
for
correct.
the
So
project.
any remaining money from the 2 pots that we got last year and this year will definitely go towards the sewer, program, but we'll have to wait to get that award to see, like he said, I think he said St. Tammany Parish. I mean, they may up or down theirs on the final award, so we may have to up or down ours either way, probably down, because they'd probably get more money, not less.
Okay.
And then we'd final out that and bring it to the council.
And to answer, I know questions are gonna arise. We still have, paying this 32,000 out, we still have over 900 some thousand dollars left.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's been a motion. Yes.
Out of the 32,000, would that, all of that go to the employees?
Yes.
Okay.
There's been first and second. Any more questions? Seeing none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5, approved liquor license renewal for 2023. Incomplete applications or applications not received will not be approved. 4-Way Quick Stop, Circle K, Candy Wine, Dollar General, and the Curved Lounge. Did she get her payment in, Danisha, today?
So we currently have all the documentation and payments for
That's correct,
each
for
one of
these
these
that are
that's
listed.
Okay. I want to approve. Make
Second.
the motion.
Been moved by Councilman Diamond and seconded by Councilman Hookman to approve liquor license renewal for 2023. Any questions? All in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The chief normally speaks on that item, and I'm not sure where he is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll go on to 6 and you want to come back to him? There he is.
Hey, Chief, how are you? All right. You were looking at these liquor license renewal for 2023 for 4-Way Quick Stop, Circle K, Candy Wine, Dollar General, and the Curved Lounge. Anything we need to know?
Not on my end.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6.
Approved cemetery plot for Claudine Womack, 102 Avenue E, Kentwood. It would be Section 3, Block B, Plot 26.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookman, seconded by Councilman Cooper to approve the cemetery plot for Claudine Womack. Any questions?
No.
All in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7, Councilman Terrell Hookfin to introduce an amendment to the Code of Ordinances to add the Historic Preservation Ordinance for Main Street.
Last month, Mr. Hayes, which he's here tonight, gave us an overall review of what's going to take place, and I'll let him have the floor. I think it's a brilliant idea that he's bringing before us. So,
Thank you.
just don't be too long.
No, it's gonna be much shorter. We've only done it 3 or 4 times. So, just to reiterate, what we're seeking is we're seeking approval of an amendment to your zoning ordinance to create a historic preservation district in the town of Kentwood. And I'll get out of the way so you guys can see it. I apologize for people behind me. And this was the product of the Historic Preservation Study Committee that examined all the structures in the area that we're going to talk about, made a recommendation for the geographic limits of it, and followed the state statutes for the construction or the adoption of a historic preservation district, which in turn we would use as the condition preceding to move for Main Street Louisiana status and certified local government status. And we talked about the benefits of this. The idea is to rejuvenate the economic development of the town, attract money in there, and the Corash presentation is a perfect indication of what we envision will happen if we do this. Now, I want to talk about the geographic location, if you will. So it runs the right-of-way at the railroad is the eastern boundary, the center line of 38 up to about right here, which is Town Hall is right here, and it's right here would be the southern boundary. A line going straight up to the north on Avenue E would be the western boundary, and then the line shoots back along Avenue E to the railroad right-of-way for the northern boundary. So this is the area that was proposed by the study committee. We then had a public hearing in front of the Planning and Zoning Committee, Mr. Ron Harrell's committee, and they looked at it and basically agreed with the recommendations of the study committee, and we brought it before, and I gave a lengthy presentation last time, and I won't do that again. But there are many, many, many benefits that adopting a historic preservation district will bestow on the town, and we urge you to approve it. Thanks. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer.
Mayor Bates,
Yes, sir.
is this the introduction of an amended ordinance? So I remember last month our legal counsel told us that it wasn't properly introduced. So this would just be the introduction of the ordinance,
Right.
correct?
That's
correct.
Okay, good.
Any more questions?
No, Mayor, I would just like to, commend the committee, everyone who played a part. I think this is, such a great thing for the town of Kentwood, because we go to so many different towns, across the state. And, we've had the opportunity to see what Main Street, could be and what Main Street can become. So I'm very optimistic about it, and I feel that, Kentwood is moving in the right direction. And as we always stress, it's going to take all of us together. And so, I look forward to, just seeing, the town moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Hayes, for getting this to me in a timely manner. I've read it from, front to back, and I think that it's going to be something great, for the town. So I'm looking forward to seeing us move forward.
Thank you. Any more observation, comments?
The only thing I had, and we spoke, was about who has the final say in that. Is it just the board that does it? He said no to the council. Ultimately, if somebody has a problem with them or they disagree with the council, they'll go before the council to make the final decision. And of course, normally we go along with everything they say, I'm
Right.
sure.
Right.
But at least we do have a say-so as to, if there's any discrepancy.
So essentially, it would function the same as a zoning committee or a recreation committee.
Correct.
All recommendations would come back to the council.
One, I have two, Mrs. Koresh.
Oh, yes, will there be an in-depth, requirement for, building codes associated with the historic district package? Say for instance, if one wants to remodel, an additional building and they want, just for example, a specific awning or doors or color palette or an extension, a renovation that exceeds the exterior portion of the original building, is there a guideline to provide that?
There are some guidelines in the ordinance, but the real teeth of the guidelines will come if the ordinance is adopted, the mayor then appoints under our proposed ordinance, a 5 commission member commission.
Okay.
The commission then goes out, surveys every single building, and adopts the standards that they will apply when they look at everything. But the ordinance itself has got 2 or 3 different, let's call them goals, that should be tried to achieve. And the idea is, yes, if you're going to change the exterior, so they deal with new construction, they deal with restoration, they deal with rehabilitation, that type of thing. And they're a little different for each one.
Okay.
So for instance, we have a lot of properties in town that are basically tear downs, and somebody's gonna build something new.
Sure.
And it's not like you've gotta build it exactly like this, and it's gotta look like the building down the street. It just has to be compatible.
Right, complement.
On the other hand, if you have my building or you have your building, then the idea is to preserve, because they're historically
Sure.
significant buildings, the idea is to preserve that as best you possibly can. So there'd be more scrutiny, if you will, for rehabbing a building that is not a tear down than building a new one.
Okay, so, in my past experience, when I go to planning and permitting, for the company I work with, which is AECom Engineering, they're very, very detailed as far as like what kind of shrubs you need to use, what kind of color palette you need to use. Of course, ADA compliancy is always a must, et cetera. But when I say they're very, very, very detailed, so I'm not sure how the packet would be defined as like I was saying, shrubs, doors.
Well, every packet, I've looked at about 7 or 8.
Okay.
So if you go to the town of Hammond, the city of Hammond, Hammond's rules and regulations are 105 pages long.
Okay,
And they drill way down.
right,
I don't think we need all that here.
I
But
agree.
that's a decision for the commission to make.
Understood.
If the ordinance is approved and the commission is put in place, then they will, pick and choose the
Sure.
things that are important.
Sure,
But to my knowledge, they don't deal with things like shrubs.
right,
But they certainly deal with color palettes,
Sure.
materials, architectural features that
Sure.
are important, that type of thing.
understood.
Before go ahead.
Ms. Gordon, you had something?
No, this was,
Okay,
I said paint. This one we wanna paint,
okay,
you know.
all right.
Paint would be, for instance, let me give you an example. So when Ms. Korash made her presentation at the public hearing before this particular meeting, she had a packet, and in the packet was a listing of the palettes of the colors that will be applied. And they spent a lot of time to go back and find ones that were historically relevant and that type of thing. That's a perfect example of basically doing everything that you'd want to see. So, for instance, I talked to Councilman Callahan about it. The building that's on the corner of Main Street and 51 that Wagon Wheel Boutique recently went into on the corner, and they painted it white. The white color is a dramatic improvement over that loud blue, no offense, Mayor. But the Historic Preservation District would look at that and say, and if somebody wants to paint the building orange, they would say no. It's gotta be tasteful, and it's gotta be nice. I don't know if that answers your question.
Now, I do have to mention, so Sherman Williams, and I know it's a bit pricey, but they have a excellent historic color palette. And unfortunately, they do have a few loud colors in there that I just kind of stay away from.
Hopefully it's
No
not.
offense to your blue.
Thank you.
I thought I looked kind of good.
You look good, you look good.
He had a question. Yes, sir.
I want to correct one thing that Councilman Cooper said. And it goes back to Councilman Callahan's comment about who has the final say. The final say on a certificate of appropriateness is with the commission that you would establish. If they're unhappy with the commission's decision, then they appeal to the town council. And the town council, just like going to an appellate court, the town council can overrule them or do whatever it wants to do. But I'm gonna guess that 90% of the time, you're never gonna see these kids.
Right.
So any remodeling, anything to be done, he said the commissioner would have the last word, unless
Unless they appeal it.
okay, so it would, doesn't have to come before the council. The council will not have the last word, that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so is that the way it is in other places?
Yes. I mean,
Okay, so is that the council can, vote on if they won't have the last word, if they want to have the last word?
I think the property owner has to appeal for that to happen.
Appeal for us to come before us. Right. If they don't like the decision that 5-member commission has made.
They can come before the council.
Right.
The ordinance that we're talking about is the suggested ordinance of the state. This is the one that the legislature has drafted and said, you guys should use this. So the way it works is you have a historic preservation district, you have a commission, they're the ones that deal with it 9 times out of 10, but like Councilman Cooper just said, if you're unhappy with it, then you appeal it. The owner appeals it to the town council, and then the town council would have the final say. Actually, you can go on into the court system if you're not happy with the town council.
One more question, so if the commissioner make a decision and the council is not okay with it, then the council can appeal that as well and act on it? You hear what I'm saying?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether the town council has the standing to initiate an appeal if the owner doesn't. But if the town council wasn't happy with it, then they go to the owner and maybe they do it then.
Mr. Harrell?
I was just gonna say, there are lots of historic colors, Benjamin Moore, there's Williamsburg colors, there are all sorts of colors that are already established out there that meet all of these criteria, so they're not, they have to have some sort of historic significance, where the Vieux-Carré Commission tried to do a green door, they wouldn't let us do it, it had to be fit within their palette of green, so, you know, these things have already been established, this is not, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
Thank you. Councilman Cooper, you had something?
So essentially, to the nature of Ms. Korach's question, let's say that for her building or for the parish flea market building, she wanted to do a French Quarter style balcony or something like that. Because the building originally did not have that sort of balcony, that would be something that'd be blocked by the commission, correct?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, and there's a nuance that you need to understand. And Ms. Korash and I have talked about it. They're putting in Pella windows, which are fantastic windows. The Historic Preservation Commission would approve it because they already have Pella windows in there and they're tastefully done and this, that, and the other thing. But if you were to apply for tax credits and you're using the Pella windows, you're not gonna get them.
Okay.
So to get back to your question, if you have an awning that was never part of the building and you just stick another awning on it, the Historic Preservation Commission is probably gonna grant you permission because it's gonna be in keeping with what they're doing down there and other places along the street. But if you apply for the tax credits, they'll say, no, that building never had a balcony, you're not gonna get the tax credits. And I just wanna make that clear. So the Historic Preservation Commission is not gonna be draconian to say you can't do it, as long as it's tasteful and it blends in with whatever else is going on there. I'm pretty confident it'll be approved. But there are much more stringent rules about tax credits.
Okay. That seems reasonable. I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you.
I did think about balconies though.
I did too.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
So moved, man.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin, seconded by Councilman Diamond to approve the code of ordinance and add it to the historic preservation ordinance for Main Street. Any question? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And as soon as I see what the publication is, if there's a potential of getting it on the budget, meeting, if I have time to advertise, then if there's no opposition to that, we can do that or do it in January. But somebody will need to let me know so I'll know which way to go.
Next item.
Item number 8, Sylvia Garage, approval of Main Street building appearances permit.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin and Councilman Cooper and seconded by Councilwoman Winters to approve the Main Street building appearance for the Sylvia Garage. And any questions? Seeing there is none, all in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9, Chief Mike Cazzaroni to accept resignation of Patrolman Kevin Bell effective 10/31/2022.
Recommendation,
Are there any comments for this?
that's all I say, made by the chief, so.
May I ask a question? How long has Patrolman Bell been here?
A year and 8 months, I believe.
If that long, chief.
Did we spend very much money out on him being?
Just uniform expenses. And we got all of this stuff back.
Any other comments, Chief?
I haven't talked to him, so I don't know. I mean, he was scheduled to work Monday, the 31st of October. His equipment was behind my secretary's desk. I attempted to call him several times and still try to call him, and he hasn't answered or responded to my text messages, so I take that as he resigned.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin, seconded by Councilwoman Winters to accept the resignation of Patrolman Kevin Bell. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 10, Chief Mike Cazzaroni to hire Kevin Davis, full-time patrolman at a pay rate of $13.50.
Yes, Mayor, Council, audience, I have Kevin Davis, local Kentwood person. He's did time to work with Roseland Police Department. He come to us approved by risk management, and he's ready to go to work. He is not post certified, so he will have to go to post at some point in time within the next year.
Any questions for our candidate for hire? No?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a general question. Okay, so in I think it was April of 2021, it was stated that most of our police officers have vests, but they're all outdated. It takes about 5 years for a vest to be outdated, and I know that some of them don't wear them. Has that issue been alleviated?
Yes, the grant money has been approved to purchase a new vest. However, Barney's equipment is working with me now to get those vests ordered and brought in.
When did they approve it?
When did who approve it?
When was the grant money approved for
Earlier
that?
this year.
Earlier this year. Okay.
And since we're talking about expiration, just because the vest is expired doesn't mean it does not work. It just means that it's not the shelf. Like everything else has a shelf life. For instance, when I was in the St. Tammany Sheriff's Office, we found a closet full of vests from the 80s, and this was early 2000s, that we took to the range and shot up just to see how well they hold up, and we did not have one failure. So it does not mean that they don't work. It just means their shelf life is expired, and the company does not stand behind them any longer. But again, Councilman, our grant money was approved through the USDOJ earlier this year. Barney's Equipment, which is who has a state contract for vests, is working with me now to get a vest ordered. Unfortunately, we was only given the money for half of the vests that I need, so we're trying to work or figure out where we can get more vests for the same price.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Callahan, seconded by Councilman Diamond to hire Patrolman LaKevin Davis. Any question? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Council.
Next item.
Chief, item number 11, Chief Mike Cazzaroni to hire Scott Pickens, full-time patrolman at a pay rate of $13.50 an hour.
Scott Pickens comes to us from the Hillsdale area. He has prior police experience through Greensburg Police Department and St. Helena Sheriff's Office. He is not post certified, so he's willing to have to go to post at some time this year. And let me back up just a second. Kevin Davis will be replacing Kristen Rainey, who resigned earlier, late last year. Mr. Pickens will be replacing Paula Brooks, who resigned over a year and a half ago. So.
Get a
I
motion.
have a question. So how many officers are we short? You know, I'm just
With
saying.
these two hires, will be one short.
Okay.
Or three short. Well, actually two short, because he just got hired, and when he gets hired, will be one short.
Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hookman, second by Councilman Winters to approve the hire of Scott Pickens as a full-time patrolman. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain.
Item number 12, Councilman Hookfin to introduce proposal from October 2022 meeting.
Mayor, I want to amend, my proposal on one of the item number, C, when we get to that, if I may.
It's his proposal.
Item, A, is continue to pay 100% of the full-time employees' insurance as in current policy. B is to implement full-time, employee, pay raises on a merit based on supervisor's recommendation with final approval from the mayor. C, that what I want to rescind is I had to rescind council's insurance effective January 1st, 2023, and implement a raise in the amount of $100. So I want to rescind that, and since it's part-time, town will pay 50%. Instead of taking it all away, we'll do 50. Last, D is to use excess money to accrue for insurance savings to build concession stands with bathrooms at North Tangent Park or seat of need, wherever, you know, the money is needed at. And just to throw it out there, I did some homework, and just some things to think about, because I've gotten calls and all that, and people are saying, why now? This has been on the table for a while, and it's not because I'm leaving office. It's when you learn better, you do better. Error, but if you punch a Tula, they have a population of about 7,000 people. They make $800 a month money, but guess what? They don't pay their insurance. They don't. Independence, $300 a month, no insurance. Tickfall, $300 a month, no insurance. Nobody in this parish pays 100% insurance. Yeah, I'll take it. I got broad shoulders. I'm the bad guy. No, the town of Kentwood needs money elsewhere. And we can save with 5 councilmen. Yeah, I was on it for 12 years. Yes, I was. I admit I was. But now we can save for 5 council if they, however they vote. I'm only one vote. You can save about $50,000 because you're paying $829 per person. So that's my proposal. I'm only one vote. Hey, and even though this is my last council meeting, I may be leaving the seat, but I'll still be in full support of this city hall, and I'll be in the building.
Any questions for Councilman Hookman? Yes.
I'd like to say, I agree with Councilman Hookman. We should bear more of a load ourselves on the insurance if we do have it, and to give more back to the town. 100%, in my opinion, was too much. I didn't realize. I thought everybody did when we got it. I didn't even know we got insurance when we came here. But I agree, and I think that would help a lot. Help the town.
Councilman Dunn, comment?
There are several concerns. Do I feel as though changes should be made? Yes, I do. You know, all of a sudden, you know, and these kind of things quite baffle me. Election season tend to come around. We've all have served 4 years on this board. We've had 4 years with this administration to make the necessary changes to council members' insurance, any policies that we have on the book. We have not touched any. Now, and Councilman, if you have been enrolled in all of the town benefits, has been what, 12 years, right?
That's correct.
12 years.
Correct.
Now, as it stands tonight, the only 2 council members that will be serving going to the next term is myself and Councilman Callahan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It just quite baffles me. And my biggest issue is the timing. Why all of a sudden at the end of this term, we want to raise all this stuff about it's an issue with council members getting the insurance. And we all know being elected official, it comes with perks, right? It comes with that. My next thing is, I don't think the town has starved, in a sense, or faced a financial crisis because we have been paying council members' insurance. We have given raises while paying the council member insurance. Then we talk about the recreation. The mayor is currently doing renovations to the park now with paying the council's insurance. So paying this insurance, and I want this to be very clear, has not stopped the town from doing anything. As I stated on the forum before that we had, and the question came across and they asked me how I felt about it. And I clearly stated that if you can do the best for all of your employees, why not do it? In other words, if there is a financial crisis, I agree 100% that we should do away with it. But to my understanding, this town has operated and has done everything that this town needs to do with paying council members' insurance. Now, when I look at it, it says rescinding the council members' insurance and implement a raise in the amount of $100. Who determined that $100 is equivalent to what our annual insurance costs? That's another problem. Hypothetically, if you're paying $8,000 a year for insurance, how can we say that it's okay for council members to receive in exchange $100? It's just not equivalent. And I think, once again, if we start having these discussions beforehand, right, which I think a special need or something to that nature, should have been had, so we would have had the time to, just deliberate these things. Receiving the agenda last night at 7 o'clock. After finishing my obligation, I didn't get a chance to read thoroughly through everything until about 10 o'clock. I then sent my email, and thanks to the clerk today, did respond about 4:30, 5 o'clock today with the necessary documents that I needed to do a comprehensive review of the plan with Humana and Blue Cross Blue Shield. But I don't think I could have reviewed it enough within 30, 40 minutes. So, my suggestion is this. I feel as though the timetable just isn't right. I think what we need to do, let's get to the table to make it fair across the board for everybody. That way it's not just one council member saying, cancel the insurance, we're going to give them a $100 raise. I don't think that's fair. And do I want to further hold this meeting up tonight? We're going back and forth, arguing about how much our increase should be. No, I don't, because what's going to happen, everybody say, oh, they just doing it for the money. No, we're not doing it for the money, but I want this to be fair. And I feel as though it's not fair with, and Councilman, I want to ask you this. With me and Councilman Luke Finney, yours, because you made the proposal that we all should receive a $100 raise, so I'm looking at the equivalence of what our insurance costs. What's the cost of our insurance? What research have you done with both providers?
Your cost is $829 for help.
Okay.
And it's $35 a month. Yours
Right.
$35.
And how many
35.
years have the town been doing this?
20. But guess what? You gonna keep? Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Can I finish? And I'm not gonna go back and forth with you.
No, sir. I'm not.
My proposal is on the table. I'm only one vote. And if you was here, the last few meetings, citizens have been coming in here at the council meeting. I was here. I don't know if you was here, talking about why should we continue to pay y'all insurance. So my proposal is on the table. That's how you feel. This is the way I feel. And hey, it's done.
And then also too, I do want to point out, because to me it just seemed like the biggest issue is it just because the council members are, is it a council member issue that we receive the insurance, or is the issue with part-time employees receiving insurance? Because to my understanding, as I look on the record, we have other part-time employees that's hired by the town that's currently receiving the insurance. So is it a personal problem with the council? Or, what, I'm just trying to figure out what is the real problem. And I don't want to get into that because we have to go into executive session when you go to talk about other employees. But there are other employees who are part-time that are receiving the benefits just as other councilors are part-time. That's why I think tonight, it just was such a rush now to do this, and it seemed like we're just trying to do it before the new term starts. And I totally disagree with that. Because the truth be told, you look at tonight, Councilman Callahan and myself are the only one that's going forward that's going to be here for the next 4 years. And we got somebody who's saying tonight, oh, okay, my time's up, let's cancel everybody insurance. No, I don't agree with that. So I want to make a motion that we table item C until further deliberation. That's what I would like to do. And one more thing, and I'm done, I promise, Mayor. Let's look at D. D says we want to use the excess money to build a concession stand. The town of Kentwood does not have to cancel our insurance in order to build a concession stand.
That's a proposal.
It's not at you. Anything that we want to do, we want to build in this town, we don't have to do it with our insurance money. The town is blessed and is very much so capable to do any renovation in this town with or without paying the council members' insurance. And I just want to put that on the record. So to be fair, I don't think that it's a budget issue. I think it's a prioritization issue. I don't think that we're prioritizing the funds that we currently have in order to make the necessary renovations and improvements in this town. So to slap all this on council members' insurance, let's be real. My portion is only $200 a month if I pay it. We here tonight crying about $200 when I know we have bigger issues and more fish to fry. So, Mayor, I want to move that we table this issue until further deliberation.
Okay. Councilman Cooper.
Okay, so currently under this potential proposal to move down to 50%, Is the option to include council members' spouses still within that plan?
It's whatever the board wants to vote on. I just put it as 50%.
Okay, that's fair. What is the current expenditure for council members' insurance in total?
You have a,
You got a sheet right there.
Still in all, we
Was
still
it part of
say
your
council members.
was it part of your proposal?
Not
Oh,
part-time.
good.
highlighted
Just a
one
sec.
under your left hand.
Oh wow, here it is.
We're not doing the part-time employee.
That.
So monthly total
It's
for
Just the
the
current covered ones.
and currently only 3 council members are covered for the insurance, right?
That's correct.
So insurance coverage would be $3,213 a month for the 3 council members, and that's including their spouses as well, right?
No,
That's just for them.
no, it's out there.
There's three, you have mine. Katie. Oh, okay, let me take yours. Okay, so spreadsheet, Gary, Teddy, and Xavier's employee-only insurance is $829.85 per month individually.
That's plus the
Gary's
525.
spouse is covered to the tune of $580.89, making the monthly premium paid out on Gary and his spouse $1,410.74. The monthly amount for Terrell Hookfin is $829.85, and the monthly amount for Xavier Diamond is $829.85. That's health insurance. And on Humana dental insurance, currently Gary and his spouse is covered. That amount per month is $71.80. Terrell Hookfin, $35.40. Xavier Diamond, $35.40, which totals health insurance $3,070.44 and dental $142.60, totaling $32,1304 per month, just for those 3 and a spouse.
Ms. Gordon, you had a comment?
Yes, sir, thank you. I think it's important for us to know, I hear, that no town, no city, nowhere pays 100% of the insurance for anybody.
That's right.
Anybody. And I'm not saying throw the insurance out, because our employees need insurance. But why do we have to pay 100% for anybody? When you can do the research all around and see that nowhere else are they doing that. Yes, it can save the town some money, cutting it back some. I can't see why you can't put your heads together and discuss.
That's all I'm saying.
Come to the table, talk about it, discuss a percentage that, would be feasible for people,
Yes, sir.
other employees.
This has been brought up before in Mr. Ernest, time, so this is not nothing new.
Exactly.
And also, are y'all employees or elected officials, and is there a difference? And if it's difference, the employees should be judged as employees and elected officials as elected officials.
Thank you for that comment. Ms. Frankie, you have a comment?
Yes, I'd like to know why is it that the town has to pay for the spouse's insurance too, along with yours?
When was the current insurance plan implemented in the first place?
That's been in place before I got here.
Decades.
Before a lot of
But-
us got here.
But,
Ms. Corrales,
Mayor, they didn't answer.
For sure.
Nobody answered my question.
What's your question?
My question was, why is it that the town has to pay for Terrell and his wife on the insurance plan?
Terrell's wife never been on the
But she
insurance.
said, ma'am.
No.
Well, Callahan's wife.
Right.
Why
For the
do
record.
you all have to do that? Why do the town have to do it?
I don't know why, but I'll tell you what I understand from the background of it, based on when it was done under a previous administration. When it was said that the council members would be covered, it was going to be covered the same way that other employees were covered, full-time employees. And it wasn't a differentiation between part-time and full-time, it was just the coverage. And what I stated was Gary was the only one that has himself and a spouse. Terrell Hookfin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Terrell Hookfin is himself only, and so is Xavier Diamond. Their individual coverage.
Okay.
But the argument here on, or what I've heard that it has been is, why are part-time employees covered at all? Because nowhere around the nation that we know of, people cover part-time employees.
But part-time employees do be covered in insurance. Because when I worked at
Right, but
Kentwood
not
Springwater, I was
any-
part-time, and I was covered in insurance.
Not an elected official field, I'm sorry, I should have clarified that throughout
It's in the
other
Boston Act, though,
towns.
Clerk.
It's not illegal, I didn't say it was illegal.
Okay, I'm just making sure that's for the record.
Yeah, no, I did not say it was illegal.
Go.
Yeah, it is. Mr. Hall,
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
2 minutes.
It ain't
One
gonna be
minute.
2 minutes, sir. I think that the problem is, and I've shared this with them, you can't make decisions for the town based on a handful of people's opinion on what they think the council should be getting or what the council should not be getting. And I think the biggest issue I have with it is, the outgoing board should not be making the decision on what the next administration is gonna have to deal with. I think Councilman Diamond came up with a perfect solution. And I don't think it's out. That should be something.
So we shouldn't even be here
myself,
tonight.
Ms. Corey is gone. And the other council members.
I thought it was the
we should
business of
take
the town.
this. Sir.
Let's be respectful, thank you.
All right. Yes, this is something that the next administration should make the thing. And I don't think nobody, and Ms. Gordon was saying, the correction, it is municipalities that pay 100%. I happen to be employed by one sheriff department. Ain't me. So, and then the thing that should be told about when you say spouses, the portion of the council member checks go to pay for their spouse. So I don't have a problem with the percentage either way, 100% or 80%. But I think that's a decision should be made the income.
Thank you for your input.
And Mayor, one last thing.
You, then.
So, you know, it is,
Okay.
once again, it just kind of comes off, I don't think I'm being understood with this. And I think we're missing the concept. Is the biggest issue here tonight a personal thing with council members, or are we talking about full-time versus part-time? What I keep hearing is council members. But watch this. When we look at full-time versus part-time, and we bring up the issue about the spouse, if there's a full-time employee, we currently have full-time employees with family members on the insurance. So my thing is, we keep focusing on council members when we should be having a discussion about part-time workers. It doesn't matter that we are elected officials, we are part-time employees for the town of Kentwood. And I think that we have politicized this thing so much that we got the whole community that keeps saying council members insurance. We are part-time workers. And once again, there are other part-time workers who fall under the same guidelines as myself and Gary, and guess what? I'm not ashamed because I feel I work for every single person that I get as a council member of this town. So I'm not ashamed to say that I get my check and my insurance. I show up here and I'm about the town's business. And nothing is a secret. But what I'm saying, I think we just gotta change our focus here of stop saying council members. Because it seems like to me it's a personal attack or some type of political strategy we're pulling to only change things for council members. And basically, if we were to go with this tonight, saying rescind council members who are part-time, that means you would keep any other employees for the town who are part-time at 100% and just cancel hours. I think that's totally unacceptable.
Thank you for your comment.
It is, and I agree with you, it is part-time workers. Nowhere they pay for part-time workers.
Councilman Field, I'm talking about what you put there. You said rescind council members, you did not focus on part-time employees. We're part-time. Part-time is just part-time. It don't matter if you elected official or not. The mayor, are you full-time or part-time?
I'm part-time.
I think
All right,
part-time is
all right,
part-time.
can I amend it to part-time and to answer you, cause you keep throwing it out there, it's no attack. No attack at all. So don't go say, Councilman Hilton is attack.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, you keep saying
I'm
attack.
saying
It's
that's
not
what it's
attack.
coming off. That's what I'm saying.
Professionalism, please,
Oh,
Joe.
yes, sir.
What we're going to do is, we're gonna go through these because they're listed out or they're parted out, and we're gonna take a vote on each one. When we come to one that needs to be amended, you can make your motion to amend it, and then we will move forward. That agreeable?
Hold on, Mayor. One problem with the procedure we're going through. Now, there also, because we look at, I'm kind of confused on this approval of a proposal. What are we changing? Is it an ordinance? Is it the employee handbook? What are we changing? Here it just states a proposal. There's no such thing, legislation, as a proposal, because we have ordinances, we have employee handbook. What are we changing? And that's why I say, if we do things the right way and take our time, this would alleviate these kind of mistakes. Tonight, we're not prepared for any of this.
Thank
So I move that we table it.
Well, that's about the smartest thing.
Go ahead, Ms. Gordon.
Okay, back on the subject of the insurance now, I'm just speaking of the experience in the corporate field, so I have no idea on how it's handled as far as, city council members or public officials, etc. But typically, even a part-time employee in the corporate world does have insurance. They have to do at least 36 hours of work there, and they are, family included. Now, going back to some of the numbers that y'all stated, those are really high, really high. So maybe we can challenge who's doing the research on looking at outsourced resources. Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're the big players in the game, but they're not the best, and they're not the only ones. So for instance, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're great. They have really good deductibles, but some of the values that you said on either eye or dental is pretty high. I typically pay $7. So I know there's more companies out there, so maybe we can challenge that if it's a budget thing that we can do. In addition to that, going back to the whole man-hour thing, I mean, if y'all exceed 36 hours, of course, y'all are putting the hours in, and, an extra, few hours makes you a 40-hour full-time employee, and I'm more than sure that y'all exceed that 36 hours, because when y'all are at home, I'm sure y'all are reading documents and then preparing for the next day. But I'm sure y'all are not punching those hours, because I know I do more than 40 hours a day. But anyhow, that's just my piece.
Thank you for
And
that comment.
if I can add one thing.
Did you?
Okay, so along what she was saying is what I was going to ask. When it's reduced to 50%, it would still be with the same provider, and it would still be the same amount that would be expected to be paid. It's just half of it would come out of a self-pay system. I'm not on the council member's insurance, so I'm not fully versed in how this works, but it would still be with the same provider, and that amount would not change, correct?
Go ahead.
Okay. Also to answer your question in his, Sally. Yes, it would be with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They sent us several proposals, the mayor and I reviewed them and selected. So that would have to come at a later time to, do more outreach like you had stated, Sylvia. 100% of Xavier's and Teddy's, there's no payroll deduction. Gary's payroll deduction is strictly the 30% that is his spouse's of $248.96. But the total that I gave you is the total town payment amount of $1,410.74. That amount excludes the portion that Gary is paying. Okay, so the $1,410 the town pays, and Gary pays $248.96.
Wait till total.
So when you have two people covered, a spouse and an employee, The spouse's payment or coverage is the same dollar amount as the employees. So you're actually looking at $829.85 for Gary's, and you're looking at $829.85 for his spouse. And Gary pays 30% of the spouse, and that's the $248.96. That's 30%. The 100% of Gary's and the 70% of the spouse is the total of $1410.74. That is the out-of-pocket for the town.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking for these specifics and everything for it, and the only reason why this seems to be such a huge issue, is because it's not a part-time employee problem. It's a council member problem. Because on the books, we get paid and we work for this 1 hour right here. Everything outside of it is an honor system. We don't have an office we report to. You guys do. Our part-time employees on the maintenance department, they do. They get in holes. Full-time, part-time. They need the insurance. And it was an issue before in the last administration where we were talking about reducing the percentage of the insurance for some of our employees so we'd be able to pay for other things. Because there are things that we could pay for. There is money that we could get somewhere. Do I think that the optics of this looks bad? Yeah, it looks horrible. Because it looks like we've ridden the gravy train and now we're saying, okay, let's cut it off. The optics are terrible. We had 4 years to do it and we didn't. But at the end of the day, the town does have other things that it could use the money for. I don't necessarily have a problem with cutting the insurance or cutting the spouse or reducing it because there's things with it. There's other issues we could use the money for, like the park or a $500 police vest, you know?
Thank you. Last few comments and we're gonna move forward. We'll start with you.
Yeah, my comment is,
So you read before you.
my comment is we're gonna be sitting here all night back and forth.
True. That's why I said last
The
few
thing
comments.
is what is the harm with tabling this? But right now, we got two motions on the table. I don't know if anybody realized
I heard
that.
you.
I remember.
We
Okay.
keep going back and forth, we can't
Okay.
move along.
So, I mean, put them both up for a vote, we'll be all night back and
I was
forth.
second his motion.
Mayor, I just want to say one thing.
Paying $1,500
I'm not saying that I'm not on board with revisiting these things. Let's make that very clear in our being. Now, I do want to commend the clerk because in the past, she has done research and we did change providers. We did switch to Humana. So, there, as far as our dental cover. So, there have been some things in the works. But what I don't like is this perception. The amounts could be wrong or the amounts could be adjusted, but I want the community to think that what we're doing is wrong. And I think that's the perception. And as everybody stated here, no matter what job you're going, whether you're full-time or part-time, whatever it is, there are perks, there are certain things that you get for being an employee. So there's not anything wrong here that's happening. What I think the biggest issue is the cost. That's just me. I think the cost. The spouse, all that could be looked at in especially, so my thing, and once again, this is going to point to going into the next administration, whomever that may be, let's do the research. Let's see not only, and once again, the focus just on council members, but not just on council members, but let's look at affordability for the whole municipality as a whole.
That's right.
So, that's what I'm saying, the conversation just council member. No, we coming out $300,000 a year, period. Just on insurance. So I'm for looking at it, but I'm just saying, let's just be fair all the way across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a motion on.
Mayor, one thing, what about children? What if someone wants to insure their family, their children? If they get a
Ms.
family?
Gardner, I'll be honest with you, when I walked into this,
Because it'll be more.
this has been going on for the last 20 years, you all said, so there's a lot who have enjoyed it. I came with insurance, so I didn't get to participate in this. I did not have the ability to let that go to pick this up. I would have loved to because I know what comes out of my check for insurance. So this is something that has been going on. I think we brought this up when we were talking about raises for the employees. I mentioned about perhaps the council member should do something about the insurance, and we did not come back and revisit it. So now it's here, and I agree with Councilman Davenport. Maybe we should table it. Now, that's just my opinion. and wait for the next board to deal with this because they are elected, and let's hold them to the fire and see what they do with the
That's
decision
right.
Let's do
for
it.
this.
That's right.
Rescind mine and we'll do it. That's fine.
Okay, it's a motion by Councilman Diamond, second by Councilman Callahan to table this and have the new administration in January start to revisit this to look at insurance. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Who was the second? Gary, you were the
Gary.
second on that.
Two notes, this Saturday, December the 3rd at 10 a.m., 213 Avenue L, the ribbon cutting and grand opening of our new Kentwood Branch Library will take place. I believe the governor is going to be there, some of the state officials and representatives, so if you're not busy, come out. There'll be tours of the facility, there'll be food and refreshments for you, and you can also meet your senators and your representatives and talk with them, and your council members and your new council members hopefully will be there that are already elected. Also, the Kentwood Christmas Parade will be Monday, December the 12th at 6 p.m. Are you running, you got anything to say on that?
I'm still taking entries, so if you have businesses or personal that want to enter, I have forms here at the city hall that you can pick up, or you can contact me personally, and I'll take care of that for you as well. It's gonna be pretty exciting. So the Shriners Club is gonna be in Kentwood for the first time. They're coming, and that's gonna be pretty awesome. With all their bikes and their little cars and stuff. It's pretty cool. So yeah, so anybody who wants to participate, please.
And Ms. Nikki, thank you for all that you do to help bring some exposure to Kentwood. Also, Kentwood,
I just got one more thing. Have we all set a date to prepare the budget for next year yet?
we have not. We're waiting to hear from the CTA if everything has been done.
Mayor. You finish.
Kentwood City Hall will be closed December the 23rd and Monday, December 26th in observance of Christmas Eve and Christmas. Also, it will be closed Friday, December 30th and Monday, January 2nd in observance of New Year's and New Year's Eve.
Two
Yes, sir.
things, I don't know what the holdup is, but, we've been passed about the one way for, up at the school, so I guess the new council administration will take care of that also. Another thing, I applaud you for the, upgrade up there. So do we have the, rules and stuff in place for the park on 13th Street?
Have you received the rules so you can get them sent to the
We
Senate?
had the September meeting and Xavier had offered to type those up and I've not received them yet.
I did.
You send them in?
I
Can you resend them?
Yeah, I resent it, but yeah, just to make the record clear, I did type it up. I did present it at the meeting. Remember, everybody received their copy? So the park rules are typed up and ready to go. Maybe you didn't receive, but I'll email it to you. But
Well,
did
I
send
just
it.
know that you said you would volunteer to type it up and send it in to the clerk, and
Yeah.
I haven't received
Okay,
it.
well,
So
well,
maybe
it's
you
done. I
send
just
it to
gotta shoot it to
everybody
you.
else, but,
I will.
okay, well, that's fine.
But I see the upgrades and the improvements are doing well.
I want to say one more thing.
Last comment. Yes, sir.
What he said about the one-way, what do we need to do? I mean, it's already done. I thought, why don't we just put signs up there and have it going on?
I'll give you Captain Ron, we can give you all
Y'all
an
clear
update.
enough for us?
Okay.
Elton Shaw Lane by the
Elton
high
Shaw,
school.
from 7 to 9, it was passed it, 3 months ago.